A very good day to everybody. Today we are going to start Laplace transformation. So if you like the video, please do not forget to subscribe as well as share. So starting with Laplace transformation. Laplace transform is used for solving differential as well as integral equations as part of academics. So person will ask, for what reason Laplace is used in real life? So in real life it is used to convert real time continuous domain signal into a frequency signal in many applications such as electrical circuits, harmonic oscillators, optical devices, as well as any mechanical system which involves time invariant continuous domain signal. So the signal has to be continuous, it cannot be discrete. So if one wants to perform a Laplace transformation, the signal has to be continuous. So remember that point. So I am just drawing one example of continuous time signal. So this is how a continuous time signal looks like. So it can be anything, sin x, cos x, or any continuous signal which is varying with respect to time. And at the same time, the signal cannot be something like a discrete one or a discontinuous one. So this cannot be transformed using Laplace. And this can be transformed. Going further, now we will see what Laplace transform actually means. So as I just mentioned before, Laplace transform is used to convert a time signal into a frequency signal. So if we denote time signal by variable t and a frequency signal by variable s, then we can transform the Laplace, the function which is in time form into a function which is in frequency form. So the mathematical expression describing this transformation can be written like this. Since we are transforming a function f of t using Laplace, so we will write it like this: Laplace transformation of a function f of t is equal to an integration of e raised to minus st into f of t dt. However, we got to be careful while performing this integration that only positive part of the time signal can be converted using this Laplace transformation. No negative part can be transformed. So that is why the limit starts from 0 and ends till infinity. Since we are going to transform the complete function into frequency domain, so limits will be from 0 to infinity on time. So if we perform any integration of this type wherein function of t is being integrated with another parameter s, so the function will only remain in terms of s. Even if we apply limits on t after performing this integration, the function will completely be of s, of a parameter s. So we can denote it like this: capital F of s. So herein small f of t and capital F of s are basically input and output of the Laplace transformation. So basically we are converting a function f of t into a function capital F of s by using this Laplace transform, and the mathematical expression looks like this, which is valid only for the positive part of time domain. So going further, we will now look for few examples of Laplace transformation. So for example, if we have a constant f of t is equal to constant, so in this case if I try to find out the Laplace transformation, so Laplace of k will be basically integration from 0 to infinity e raised to minus st k times dt. So since k is constant with respect to time, I can take this k out and perform this integration over 0 to infinity. So what do I get here? E raised to minus st divided by minus s. So if I apply these limits over t from 0 to infinity, so e raised to minus infinity will basically tend to 0 if I have my s is greater than 0. So remember one important thing here, while applying the limit we have to be careful that s has to be greater than 0. This s should be greater than 0 if we want this limit to exist. So in order for this Laplace to exist, the basic condition is the necessary condition is that s has to be greater than 0. So now if I put t is equal to 0, it will be simply 1 upon minus s. And as we all know, if we put infinity with if we put t as plus infinity with s greater than 0, so e raised to minus infinity into a positive number will basically lead us to a value equal to 0. So this term will ideally become 0. So k times 0 minus 1 upon minus s. So it will be basically k divided by s. However, the necessary condition for this Laplace to exist, s has to be greater than 0. So that is why you will always find people will mention Laplace of a constant is basically constant divided by a frequency variable s, where s is greater than 0. So that is how you can find out Laplace for a constant. Similarly, you can find a Laplace for another function e raised to at. So this also we can find out using the integration. So if I put it here like this, and if I perform further calculations, so I will get something like this, isn't it? So the integration of e raised to some constant times t will give me e raised to the same constant times t whole divided by the same constant. Again, I have to apply limits on t. I have to put the value of t equal to 0 to t equal to infinity. And when I do that, I cannot virtually put t is equal to infinity straight away into any function. So that is why, as in the previous case, we will have to take limit t tending to infinity. E raised to minus s minus a times t upon the same variable, minus, if I put t equal to 0 here, it will be simply 1 and it will be minus s minus a. So this will be our total answer. And herein, when I have to put t equal to t tending to infinity in this particular function to find out, to estimate this limit value, so here again I need a condition that this particular constant has to be greater than 0. Otherwise this function, the limit of this function will not have any meaning. This won't exist. So in order for this limit to exist, this thing has to be greater than 0. Then only it will lead to 0. And overall the value of the Laplace will become 1 upon s minus a, with a condition s minus a has to be greater than 0. So that means s is greater than a. So e raised to at, its Laplace is actually 1 upon s minus a with s greater than a. So now I will write down both this equation 1 and this equation 2 separately on another page. So how does it look like? Laplace of k is equal to k by s with s greater than 0, and Laplace of e raised to at is equal to 1 upon s minus a with s greater than a. So herein I can also write Laplace of 1. If I replace the constant with 1, I can get Laplace of 1 as 1 by s with this condition s greater than 0. And another equation, which is Laplace of e raised to at is equal to 1 upon s minus a with the condition s greater than a. So what observation we can find out from these two equations? I am just boxing the equations for one to understand. So herein, when the input function is multiplied by e raised to at, so the input function 1 is now getting multiplied with e raised to at. In that case, my output function 1 over s is getting changed to 1 over s minus a. So what does that mean? From this we can arrive at one conclusion, that if Laplace of f of t is f of s, and if we multiply the input function f of t with an exponential function e raised to at, then the Laplace transform simply gets shifted, simply experience a shift of variable, which is function of s minus a. So this particular thing, this equation is called as first shifting theorem of Laplace. Laplace transform, I can say. So that was about Laplace transformation. So we'll use this particular theorem to solve many problems coming ahead. So I will now go to another example wherein I have to find out Laplace of e raised to minus at. So here also I can perform the integration e raised to minus st e raised to minus at dt, and if I find out the whole thing, I get this. So here also we can observe, here in this equation, in the above equation, Laplace of 1 was actually equal to 1 over s. And now if I multiply this 1 with e raised to minus at, the Laplace gets transformed to 1 over s plus a. So what is actually happening here? So it is nothing but a first shifting theorem with only the variable getting changed to minus a. So instead of a, I am actually multiplying it with minus a. So it's a kind of special case of a first shifting theorem, we can say. And even if we perform this integration to estimate Laplace transformation, we will actually arrive at the same condition with 1 upon s plus a with the condition s greater than minus a. So similarly, what about trigonometric functions? So if I want to find out Laplace of sine at, how do I do that? So the same condition, same thing, e raised to minus st integration over 0 to infinity sine at times dt. So this is how I have to go about it, and I have to find out the integration. So that is one way. So this actually integration one has to perform using two functions, uv rules. So u times uv rule has to be used to estimate this integration, and it will take longer for one to find out this answer if you are actually not remembering the formula for Laplace of sine at. So there is one trick over here with which we can find out Laplace of sine at even if we don't remember the formula, and even if we don't want to perform this uv rule integration, which is lengthier one and will consume time in competitive examinations. So what I will do here is I will use again first shifting theorem. So what did I mention earlier? Laplace of 1 is 1 over s, since it is a constant. Now I am using first shifting theorem with a complex term. So what am I going to do actually is e raised to I times at. So if I multiply this one with e raised to ia times t, what do I get? So this constant a in first shifting theorem I am replacing just only with ia. So my final answer will be, so my final answer will be 1 over s minus ia. So how did I arrive at this? It is nothing but a application of first shifting theorem with a constant term as I times a. Since earlier I had only e raised to at, which was getting multiplied to f of t, therefore I was getting Laplace as f of s minus a, with f of s being Laplace of original function. So in this case, the only difference is that I am actually multiplying this 1 with e raised to ia times t. So the answer will also get changed with 1 upon s minus ia. So how do I find it out? How do I simplify it further? So Laplace of e raised to iat, I can write it like this. So if I multiply this with s plus ia on both numerator and denominator, I will get something like this. So this is nothing but s plus ia upon s square plus a square, since I square is equal to minus 1, as we all know. Further, I can write e raised to iat in terms of cosine and sine. So what do we know about it? Using Euler principle, e raised to I times theta, we can write it like this: cos theta plus I sin theta. If we try to analog this formula with whatever we have here, e raised to iat, so basically theta is only getting getting replaced with a times t. So here also what will I have to do? Replace this theta with at. So Laplace of cos of at plus I times sine of at will become s plus ia upon s square plus a square. Now what can I say about this particular equation? So here there are two terms in both in input as well as in output. The first term here is a real term. Here we have an imaginary term. So here also we can split this into real and imaginary terms. So I times a over s square plus a square. So when I do that, so with this I can come at a conclusion that Laplace of cos at is basically this term, s over s square plus a square, since it is a real term of the output, and imaginary term of the input is sin at. So the imaginary term of output will actually be the Laplace of this sin at, that is the coefficient of imaginary term. So with this I can simply write Laplace of sin at as a over s square plus a square, and Laplace of cos at as s over s square plus a square. So with this I will conclude today's lecture. So what we all see today, I will just summarize. So we saw basics about Laplace, the definition of Laplace, the mathematical representation of how one can transform an input function into an output function, output frequency function, which is actually a real-time application of Laplace. We also saw a few examples to arrive at different conclusions, one of which was actually first shifting theorem, which is very important in terms of Laplace, which we will see further in coming examples. And also we derived Laplace of sin at and cos at with the help of first shifting theorem only. So that is about today. So we will actually join for further examples and remaining theory of Laplace in the next lecture. Thank you.